better thank Beth Roberts, the executive producer for this show. It wouldn't even been no show if she wasn't woke. And she not woke like that. She woke. She ain't woke.
I just bought a new drum for the chopper. I just bought a new drum for the chopper. In my trap house getting head
when I'm on the show.
Real recognize real and your niggas is imposters.
Always
Nobody fuck with your music cause you garbage. You can't fuck with me, bitch, that more than obvious. Used to keep all my dough in shoe boxes. Now we got bank accounts and we keep say deposits. High off the weed to serve, pour pop the sand, flexing hard like a bodybuilder, like I won a Grammy. Make my first 50 racks trapping off the porch. Rhyme so big, smokers call them Asher Boys. Trap jumping like Jordan, real goons, sweet boys. Whole team eating rough and rugged like corduroy. It's your baby mama favorite. Told her, pay me, keep the pussy. Nigga, better tell your bitch I caught that whole look.
I just brought my bad bitch a couple sex toys. They caught the mule on the plane, that was a decoy. Oh, your bitch fell in love with a D-boy. I'm about to blow the fuck up, call me C4. I'ma tell a lie to the judge. Leave the courtroom and meet up with the plug. Bust it down in the tub. Couple homies say it cuz. They like, where you from though? It's still 20 blood, Ain't shit changed but the bitches. Fuck a nigga bitch like Derek Fisher.
Monica Lisa up there, Monica.
Tell my pictures. Hope they like a nigga filters. $2 million cash in the bins. My cousin gave me syrup, I've been hooked ever since. My cousin gave me syrup, I've been hooked
Monica
ever
said
since.
she'd be right back.
If it don't make dollars, then it don't make sense.
I just bought a new drum for the chopper. I just bought a new drum for the chopper. In my trap house getting head, eating lots of real recognize real and your niggas is imposters. Nobody fuck with your music cause you garbage. You can't fuck with me and bitch that more than obvious. Used to keep all my dough in shoe boxes. Now we got bank accounts and we can't say deposits. High off the weed to serve, pour pop the sand, flexing hard like a bodybuilder, like I won a Grammy. Make my first 50 racks trapping off the porch. Rhyme so big, smokers call them Asher Boys. Trap jumping like Jordan, real goons, Sweden boys. Whole team eating rough and rugged like corduroy. It's your baby mama favorite. Told her, pay me, keep the pussy. Nigga, better tell your bitch I caught that whole looking.
Then they gonna let people know I'm on twice. Don't trip because the algorithm is not on. The algorithm is tripping right now, y'all. The algorithm is tripping. Where we at? I gotta watch my videos. The algorithm right now. I don't know if y'all know about this damn. I don't know if y'all know about this Russia and United States shit, but this shit is deep. It got all kind of angles. It's a whole mixture of shit up in here. A whole bunch of mixture of shit. Let me see what up in here first. A whole bunch of shit that we probably don't know nothing about, right? But lucky you got me to let you know, right? Now, y'all, hold on. Now, when the war start, remember where y'all heard it from first. Now, let me go in the chat. Let me get a couple of people to and see what they know what the war is about. Do anybody up here have any idea what this so-called Russia and United States war is all over? Remember, Donald Trump a puppet. Do anybody know what this is all over? It can be a number of things. Hey, Beth Roberts. It can be a number of things. Let me get up in this show, right? Now, I was gonna go hard. Since Beth Roberts up here, we can just go hard now. We can go hard. I mean, don't guess, damn it. We're gonna just go with it. Right? Now, it's all kind of angles that's up in this that's up in this Russia and America pre-war or fit to be war, anything like that. It's all kind of variables. And Joe Biden is playing both sides. He's saying one side to Russia, and he's saying one thing to us. He's playing both sides of it. And it's plain as day. Right? And people are going to get killed because he's playing both sides. I don't know what this is behind, but it's somebody behind the scenes and somebody pulling a string, and it's not about no war. It's about money, and believe that, right? Now, remember in the debate, Joe Biden was saying Donald Trump is a puppet. Case in point.
We become weaker, sicker, poorer, more divided, and more violent.
Right?
Under this president, we become
right. I don't think you got that right. He said, under this president, we became weaker, right? Sicker, and more divided. Now, under Joe Biden, all of that is basically true. After Donald Trump, we have been getting more sicker, and everything else Joe Biden just said.
Under this president, we become weaker.
We became weaker as a nation. When other countries is telling us at meetings that we ain't shit. Other countries is trying to punk us right now. America is weak right now.
Sicker.
Right? More people done died and got sick under Joe Biden than ever did under Donald Trump.
Poor.
Right? We in inflation right now. People losing their job. People losing their jobs. People losing their houses. People becoming homeless. We're doing all that right now. Inflation is high, and we're paying more for gas and food and everything. So we become a whole lot poor under Joe Biden.
More divided.
And more divided. It's never been so much racism in the world. Police got shot and killed the other day, and Black Lives Matter tweeted, that I guess they get what they deserve, and why every time a white cop or any cop get killed, they held as a hero. Now, first of all, he was going to, but both of them officers got killed going to protect a black woman who called the police on her black son. Now, if that's not a motherfucking hero, I don't know what it is, because she couldn't have called near one of you niggas. That's for damn sure. She couldn't call near motherfucker for Black Lives Matter and tell them to come and handle her son that was going out of control and was threatening to kill her and killed 2 motherfucking police officers, right? That was trying to save a black woman. So if that's not a hero, what do you call a hero? That risked his life to save a black woman.
And more violent.
More violent. Crime has went up under Joe Biden everywhere. Every murders, robberies, assaults, rape, everything has went up under Joe Biden. But we ain't here for that.
Vice President, we inherited a recession. I was asked to fix it. I did. We left him a booming economy.
Joe Biden said he fixed a recession before. He fixed it. Well, if you fix a recession right now, back then, why you can't fix an inflation right now? You have no clue.
And he caused the recession with regard to being weaker. The fact is that I've gone head to head with Putin and made it clear to him we're not going to take any of his stuff. He's Putin's puppy. He still refuses to even say anything to Putin about the bounty on the heads of American soldiers. Your son got
Now, Joe Biden had plenty of time to say something about the bounties on American soldiers. He had plenty of time to say something about Putin, right? But the only thing he done when Putin got on the phone call, hey, Putin, happy to see you, old pal. Huh? Now, I don't know if y'all know about the nuclear deal. This is the New START deal or something like that, right? Now, this is a nuclear deal that Joe Biden has with Russia, right? Joe Biden got all kind of deals with Russia and helping Russia and shit like that. And this is just one of them, the New START deal.
The administration is pushing to renew a nuclear agreement with the Russians. Today, Russian officials said they welcome the news. It's called the New Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, or New START. It's set to expire in a few weeks. At its core, New START regulates and limits how many nuclear weapons each country can have. The Biden White House seeking a 5-year extension. On other matters, relations with Moscow.
Now you think Russia is actually going to follow that rule of not making no nuclear weapons? You think Russia's going to follow that? Right? We can't go over there and check no Russia nuclear plants and see how much nuclear they're producing. They're not about to give you that. That was, look, the bill was, if this is the same bill, was you can check their nuclear whatever, but you have to get permission, and then you have to wait a little while for them to okay. I think it was like 3 months. That's no deal. They're not even telling you the details of the deal.
Are, well, tense. The Washington Post reports President Biden will ask his director of national intelligence to review Russia's interference in the 2020 election.
Remember that? Remember, he's still talking about reviewing the interference in the 2020 election. Remember that, all that tough talk? You don't hear about none of that tough talk no more. Huh? He had perfect. He had plenty of meetings with Vladimir Putin. He could have said something then. Nothing. He could have said something to China when he had to meet with them. Nothing.
Massive hack of America's top agencies blamed on Russia. And
remember them hacks? Remember when the Russians was able to hack companies inside the United States, meat markets, and all kind of shit? Remember that? Joe Biden didn't do nothing. This say, oh, okay, this don't hack this one. What? But Donald Trump is the puppet, and you let Russia hack American companies a couple of times?
And the recent arrest of the Russian opposition leader, Alexei Navalny. Vladimir Putin and President Biden have met on the world stage before when Mr. Biden served as vice president. His view of Putin? Well, he calls him a KGB thug.
He calls him a KGB thug.
And
Now look what Vladimir Putin talking about the New START deal.
President Biden took a responsible and timely decision to extend the New START treaty by another 5 years till 2024. Indeed, a question arises, what's next? We agreed that we will launch consultations at the interagency level under the auspices of the US State Department and the Russian Foreign Ministry.
Our top story this.
Okay, now you actually, right, got to go to other country news stations to get stories, right? Because all America press is basically biased. You know, they basically partisan. They Democratic cover up, all kind of shit, right? You actually got to go to other countries that are not partisan and it's going to tell you the truth about both sides of the story, right? Because they got to tell their viewers on what's going on America. So a lot of times I go to other countries, right, to get their news and report it.
Hour, amid concerns of Russia's military buildup near Ukraine, the United States held a conversation with the Kremlin. The talks come 6 months after Russia designated the United States as an unfriendly nation.
Russia is calling us an unfriendly nation. They declared the United States an unfriendly nation. Like, you motherfuckers is not nice. You motherfuckers some cold motherfuckers, right? Now, I got to ask a question. Do you think Russia got a reason to protect, to evade Ukraine? Do you got a reason? Do you think Russia got a reason to be at the border right now? Right? If you was from Russia, right? Do you think there be any reason for you to have any concerns about Ukraine right now? Right? Let me go in the chat. Right? Audacity of sale. Russian media is more honest than our media. You're damn right, private salty cracker. Kamala Harris Supreme Court. Kamala Harris ain't making no Supreme Court. She needs to do something, you know what I'm saying? I need a black woman as a Supreme Court judge would do this bitch because she ain't doing nothing. Get Kamala Harris ass. Make her the Supreme Court justice because she ain't doing shit, right? That's a good thing, right? False flag. Only cause of NATO. Hey, NATO, hey. I'm going to talk about NATO in this video. I'm going to talk about NATO. Russia about to steal Ukraine. Russia about to steal Ukraine. No, Russia's not trying to steal Ukraine. It's going to explain in this video. You got to go to other countries. Russia's not trying to steal Ukraine, right? Ukraine will probably become no problem without U.S. interfering, right? Famous YouTuber. You're right about that. But it's also... The thing about this is good and it's bad on both sides, right? Now, I can understand Russia's side and I can understand the United States side. But what I can't understand is Joe Biden's side. And neither can the Democrats or Republicans or anybody else, right? Now, let me go into the video.
Central Intelligence Agency Chief William Burns met Russian President Vladimir Putin reportedly to discuss regional conflicts, waning kinship, and the cybersecurity issue.
For the West, Ukraine is an important, noble cause, but not central to its grand strategy.
Right? Ukraine is important to the United States cause, but not important to the strategy. Remember what he said, right? One more time. Ukraine.
Waning kinship and the cybersecurity issue.
For the West, Ukraine is an important, noble cause.
a noble cause. United States, to us, Ukraine is a noble cause. Nothing important, it's just noble.
But not central to its grand strategy.
But not central to its grand strategy, right? But for Russia, Ukraine is a whole different category.
For Putin, it is a key Russian national interest.
With the 1990s,
right? It's a key Russian national interest, right? Because Ukraine used to be part of Russia. Remember that the Soviet Union was broken up and all kind of shit? Ukraine used to be part of Russia, right? Like China and Hong Kong. Remember China and Hong Kong? Like, hey, China, we finna go get Hong Kong. Hong Kong like, no, you're not. Everybody like, no, you're not, right? Because China want Hong Kong to come on back home. Same thing with Russia and Ukraine. Russia want Ukraine to come back home. But I got to understand, none of this shit was done under Donald Trump watch. They knew the rules. They didn't violate the rules. They violated rules when Joe Biden is in office. Now, this is the history, right, of Ukraine and Russia.
1991 breakup of the Soviet Union, Russia lost control of 14 former republics it had previously dominated. But the loss of Ukraine was the bitterest pill.
Huh? They lost a lot of countries, but Ukraine hurt the most. Losing Ukraine hurt the most. They lost a lot when the Soviet Union broke up, right? It's about power, too. Remember about this. Countries need power to maintain its dominance in the world, whatever dominance it got. So Russia got to maintain its power in America, in the world.
Many Russians feel a connection with Ukraine that they do not feel towards other former Soviet states.
And Russia.
Huh? There's a connection between Ukraine and Russia. That's something Joe Biden in America is not telling you. It's a connection. They got connections. They're not political connections. They got bloodline connections.
Russia next door, has deep ties to the country. Ukrainians have told me that Russian spies are active in every part of the country, including the government.
Russian spies are active in every part of the government. Every part of Ukraine is Russian spies. Huh? So Ukraine is not able to make any political decisions or any political policies without the KGB or Russia even knowing. Think about this. The Ukraine government know, but don't know who the spies are inside of their government. But Russia know every fucking thing. Because Russia used to be part of Ukraine. Ukraine used to be part of Russia.
The two had been linked since the 9th century and speak closely related languages. Putin has said Russians and Ukrainians were one people who shared a single historic and spiritual space.
Huh? One people. So to the United States is noble. To Russia, this shit is historical.
In recent years, he's tried to get the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, to make a deal on the eastern Ukrainian region of Donbass, which is home to the highest proportion of Russian speakers in the country and where Russian army irregulars have been fomenting an insurgency.
Right, because they got inside scoop. They're in the Russian government. Vladimir Putin tried to bribe him, hey man, take this up, man. But for some reason, Ukraine said no, he didn't want to take that bribe. I guess it would have been corruption because it wasn't about government, it was about money and business.
He tried to get the Germans to push Zelensky to accept a referendum.
Now, the Germans are very important in this whole scheme, right? The Germans, I want you to replay what he just said. The Germans are very important in this whole fucking United States and Russia thing because Germany is right in the fucking middle. Germany is right in the fucking middle of all of this.
Speakers in the country and where Russian army irregulars have been fomenting an insurgency. He tried to get the Germans to push Zelensky to accept a referendum.
He tried to get German. Now think about this. Germany and Russia is not allies. But Vladimir Putin is trying to push Germany and trying to get Ukraine to accept the deal. Because Ukraine and Germany is allies. Think about this. Ukraine and Russia is enemies. And Germany and Russia supposed to be enemies. Ukraine and Germany supposed to be friends. But you have Russia pushing Germany to tell Ukraine to make a deal.
In eastern Ukraine on secession.
Good evening, I'm Jeff Glor. We're going to begin tonight in Brussels.
But guess who didn't fuck around? With Germany or Ukraine or Russia and none of that shit. Or President motherfucking Donald Trump. Huh? The person that kept us safe, you motherfuckers didn't understand, you motherfuckers hated, and they made you think that this motherfucker was weak. They made you think he was a puppet. They made you think all of this. But now we see who the puppet. Huh? Because look what Donald Trump do. Donald Trump go in that motherfucker and say, look, man, this shit is some funny business going on. Huh? Donald Trump was saying this shit 3 years ago. He was preparing us for this time. Y'all don't understand.
In eastern Ukraine on secession.
Good evening, I'm Jeff Glor. We're going to begin tonight in Brussels, where President Trump and NATO allies came face to face.
Huh? Donald Trump and NATO allies, right? Remember, NATO. Donald Trump and NATO allies. Donald Trump had NATO in check, y'all. In check. Remember, Donald Trump went to the NATO meeting like, fuck all y'all. I run this. He put out, the news media was all in shock like, man, Donald Trump is tripping. Donald Trump went off on the NATO. It was on all the news stations. Donald Trump went to the meeting like, fuck y'all. Hold on, let me taking out trash and all that big ass trash cans in the back. Donald Trump went to this like, fuck y'all, I run this. Germany, you tripping. This is how it's gonna go. He was kind of beef with Germany.
But did not see eye to eye.
Since the Cold War ended, NATO has expanded eastwards by taking in 14 new countries, including states.
Huh? NATO has taken over 14 countries, right? Think about this. NATO has taken over 14 countries. Donald Trump didn't see eye to eye with NATO, and now NATO has taken over 14 countries, right? Now think about this: if you Vladimir Putin, NATO is also thinking about taking over and letting Ukraine be a part of NATO. If you Vladimir Putin, you can't let that happen. Think about this as if you was Russian president. You mean to tell me you want me to let these motherfuckers join NATO? I can't do that. We'd rather go to war than let you motherfuckers have these motherfuckers join NATO.
Eye to eye.
Since the Cold War ended, NATO has expanded eastwards by taking in 14 new countries, including states that were once in the Soviet Union. For Russia, this was a threatening encroachment towards its borders.
Huh? Russia is protecting its borders. NATO is pushing towards the border. Just because America, you motherfuckers don't want it to protect your borders, don't mean we don't want to protect ours. Right? So the United States is pushing towards Russia border. Taking over countries. 14 countries in all. They talking about taking over 15? Do what you want to take over 6? You want to keep on coming this way? We can't have that. It got to be some kind of deadline, right? Like this got to be the line right here. But this is only one part, y'all. It's an important part, but it's way more important parts than this, right? Think about this. This is important to Russia. But it's way more important parts than this.
In the case of the invasion of Ukraine, Putin's first effort was to bribe Ukraine with an offer of $15 billion in loans and lower prices for gas.
Remember that. Bribes and lower prices for gas. Remember what he said. He tried to bribe Ukraine with lower prices of gas and $15 billion.
A reward, in a sense, after it rejected an association agreement with the European Union. Yanukovych accepted the deal, igniting the Maidan protests, and then fled his country.
Huh? He took Vladimir Putin money and then fled the country. Said yes to the deal, took the money, and fled the country. Aha! Guess what he was? Russian. Remember, they got Russian spies inside the Ukrainian government. Then guess this nigga was Russian. He got paid. But guess what? And Vladimir Putin got that motherfucking money back. I'll give $15 billion for your country. Country had a ride like, why you take that money? He's like, fuck y'all. He ran.
Then Putin annexed Crimea.
While Ukraine is not a NATO member, it has a promise
Then he annexed Crimea.
it will eventually get to join. Since toppling a pro-Russian
Did you hear that? Ukraine is not a part of NATO, but eventually it will get to join. How would you get to join NATO? Huh? Do what the United States say. Then you can join NATO.
member, it has a promise.
Then Putin annexed Crimea.
While Ukraine is not a NATO member, it has a promise it will eventually get to join. Since toppling a pro-Russian president in 2014,
A promise. We're going to promise. They're making a promise that they're going to be able to join NATO. Right? Vladimir Putin can't have that.
it has moved closer to the West and staged joint military exercises with NATO.
They're holding, look, Ukraine is holding joint exercises with NATO. Think about that. One of Russia's worst enemies is holding, right, military exercises with NATO. Vladimir Putin can't have that.
One photo today seemed to sum it up, Mr. Trump.
Now look at it. Look, this is all the NATO members right here looking over this way. Donald Trump looking over here. Donald Trump ain't got nothing in common with him. He mad at he went to the NATO meeting and took over. All them looking over there, he looking over here. Like, fuck all y'all. Huh? He let it be known.
Military exercises with NATO.
One photo today seemed to sum it up, Mr. Trump looking in one direction, many the other way.
Putin says Ukraine's growing ties with the alliance could make it a launch pad for NATO missiles targeted at Russia.
Huh? Now you mean to tell me you want me to let Ukraine join NATO, and NATO is formed to defense against Russia, and you want me to allow you to set up a base in Ukraine so you can have missiles aimed at my country? Think about that if you're Vladimir Putin. You want these motherfuckers to join NATO, which is a something in defense of Russia and China and all this other shit, right? And you want me to let these motherfuckers join NATO so you can put missiles at my country? Aha! Aha! That can't happen. Huh? What would you do if you're Vladimir Putin? You gonna let the United States come over there and promise Ukraine they can join NATO? And if they do this and do that and do this and do that, and then come over that motherfucker when they join NATO and set up shop? Missiles and bases and all that? Then they have power over Russia. They say, look, say something, Russia, because we can stop any missile, right, before it hits the United States and tear your motherfucking country up. We have a base right here. We see anything out of suspicious, we're going to tear your shit up. What if you was Russia? What would you do? Oh, shit. Huh? What would you do? Putin in the right, but we got don't speak too soon.
Membership promise to Kiev.
Whoa, hang on a second.
As a leader who tolerates virtually no domestic opposition, Putin has a strong aversion to revolutions in neighboring countries that could encourage protests in Russia.
Huh? Now, what if this shit get out of control? And too much of this shit be westernized and shit like that, right? It's people up in Ukraine that's still Russian, right? So you got protests all over Russia talking about we want to be free too. We want to be like them. We want to be Democrat. We want to be all this old shit too. We want to be a democracy. We want to do this. We want to. It's gonna be an uprising. Putin can't have that. Think of what Putin is telling this country right now. The United States is trying to take over Ukraine so they can Ukraine can join NATO and they can aim missiles at our country. Huh? What y'all want to do? Huh? Huh? What was some hood shit and some gang shit? Like, and again, another gang talking about they finna come over here and set up a dope spot right on our corner. And gonna having guns and bitches and all kind of what you think we gonna do? Huh? We ain't finna let you come do no shit like that. We don't give a fuck how big you say your gang is, how many guns you say you got. We have to protect our hood because we can't let you set up shop and y'all are worst enemies, right? In our motherfucking neighborhood or our neighbor's neighborhood. So you have easy access to us. I do some shit gonna be like that, gonna be uprising everywhere. People gonna be wanting to do this and do that, and pretty soon I'm gonna be out of office and out of power. I can't do that. I gotta show a power move. I'm gonna make you motherfuckers sign an agreement.
Ukraine is potentially threatening for Putin if it inspires Russians with a pro-Western vision. Keeping the West guessing about a possible invasion of Ukraine has put Russia high on the international agenda and forced US President Joe Biden to re-engage with Putin in a video call in December.
Forced him to. Huh? Putin making the moves. It forced Joe Biden to. Joe Biden had to come and talk about Ukraine. It forced him to. Huh? Didn't Donald Trump warn you about Joe Biden being not too smart when it comes to Vladimir Putin and all these war leaders? Vladimir Putin is playing Joe Biden like a drum.
In a recent interview, Putin mourned the collapse of the Soviet Union as the demise of historical Russia. Some analysts argue such statements suggest Putin sees Ukraine as unfinished business.
Huh? Unfinished business. What kind of unfinished business?
And wants to follow the seizure of Crimea, which boosted his popularity in Russia, to bring part or all of Ukraine back under Moscow's rule.
Huh? Like Hong Kong trying to bring, China trying to bring Hong Kong under their rule? Motherfuckers taking their country back, right? Because they don't want to be like westernized. They want the motherfuckers to be like America. They're taking their countries back.
Whoa, hang on a second.
Biden promised a tough response against Russia for hacking America's top agencies.
And he said,
remember this? They're talking about Hillary Clinton. Remember when they were talking about Hillary Clinton and the Russian hacks and all that shit? Remember he was mad at Russia 4 years ago. Look how mad angry Joe got.
She said 17 intelligence agencies, civilian and military, have concluded.
17 military motherfuckers, right, have concluded
that the cyber attacks come from the highest levels of the Kremlin, and that they are designed to influence our election. She said, basically, she started to say, Donald Trump spoke up and said, I think it's, I don't know how you know that. It could be China, it could be anyone. Russia, China, anybody.
Why'd you get mad? Why angry Joe?
And he said, on our country, he said, after a quote, and it's been made public to all the press, what the intelligence community knows. And he said, quote, our country has no idea.
Angry Joe.
This is so fundamental. What an indictment.
Angry Joe.
Of who we are. What an indictment of our capabilities. What an indictment of our military. Sending a message that flies into what Putin is doing in Russia, saying America's weak, they're crippled, they cannot move forward.
We haven't seen much of any response yet. What might a Biden response look like? Just more sanctions or something more?
Well, he has promised that, you're right. And they also promised, by the way, a reaction to the arrest of Alexei Navalny, as you just mentioned. To remind everybody.
Russia said they were going to act. Look about this, right? Joe Biden said he was going to act on Russian interference, right? They arrested a Russian, said he interfered, and he done this and all this sort of shit. Russia say no, he didn't, and they want their nigga back. We're gonna go after you for fucking with him. We need him back. And Joe Biden said we're gonna go after you for fucking with our election. Now think about this. There was really nothing found, no kind of collusion found with the Russia collusion shit and like that. But they still arrested somebody, right? Now, and they blame this on Russia. This dude was a Russian spy, and he done this, and he interfered with that. We got records and this and that. And remember, Vladimir Putin this whole time is saying, hey, we ain't do nothing. Now, just imagine if you was in Vladimir Putin's shoes and you didn't do it, and you got a motherfucker accusing you something, and then get on national TV talking about they arrested the motherfucker for doing it, and he your people. What you gonna do? You backing me into a corner. Donald Trump never said anybody interfered. He said it could have been anybody. I mean, Russia interfered. It could have been anybody. But you have the Democrats saying Russia, Russia, Russia. What if you didn't do it? Think about this. We know he's a fucked up individual and all this old shit, but what if he didn't do it? What if he really wanted Donald Trump to lose? Because we see what he's doing with Donald Trump out of office. He could have done this shit 4 years ago. Think about it. How in the hell is you calling Donald Trump a puppet when everything you do benefits Vladimir Putin? One more time. If you didn't hear him the first time.
A Biden response look like? Just more sanctions or something more?
Well, he has promised that, you're right. And they also promised, by the way, a reaction to the arrest of Alexei Navalny, as you...
Huh? They both promised a reaction, right? What do you think this shit? I don't think it's over the election, but Vladimir Putin had to make a point. Like, hey, man, we didn't do this, and you blaming us. You backing us into a corner with this Ukraine, with this NATO, with all this so shit. You backing us into a corner.
You just mentioned. To remind everybody, he was poisoned, I think, by the Russian government. He flew to Germany to recuperate. And
he flew to Germany, huh? A Russian flying to Germany to recuperate. Russia and Germany don't get along. They're not supposed to. They don't get along.
And then he just came back last weekend and they arrested him again. And the Biden team, both in the transition and already, has said there's going to be tough measures. I think that the response will likely...
Remember, they arrested the dude who's running against Vladimir Putin that wanted to expose the corruption. Poisoned his ass, right? Then he came back and they arrested his ass. Nigga, you didn't die? We would arrest your ass for not dying. You a cold motherfucker. How you gonna get arrested for not dying? What kind of crime is that? Like, you know what? I shot you and you didn't die. Say, well, I was going to jail. Like, what the fuck? I got arrested for not being 187. What kind of shit is that? You poison him and then you arrested him to stay in power because he's going to expose your corruption. Right? Somebody is corrupt. This war is not about no damn Ukraine borders and our borders and democracy and all that. It's not about that. They don't give a fuck about that.
Be sanctions, and here's the question. The easy thing to do is to sanction a bunch of no-name colonels, you know, FSB, the successor group to the KGB, and then check the box. The more bold move would be to sanction some of those that enable the Putin regime, including some of the economic oligarchs that support Putin. That, I think, is the real choice facing Biden's.
Does President Biden have that in him? That's a big
hell
move
no,
with a
he
lot
ain't
of
got it in him.
consequences.
Correct. I don't know. I mean, I do know what his views of Mr. Putin are. That
nobody give a fuck about his views. Is he going to do it or not? While NATO is helping out the damn Ukraine's, Russia is mad.
U.S. President Joe Biden has vowed to help Ukraine fight Russian aggression, including arms supplies and a possible sanction on Russian-backed natural gas pipeline
Natural gas pipeline, right? Now, do anybody know what Nord Stream 2 is, right? Put a 1 in the chat if you know what Nord Stream 2 is. Put a 1 if you don't know what Nord Stream 2 is. Do anybody know what Nord Stream 2 is a bigger part of this Russia-United States war than anything, right? This is the biggest part of this so-called conflict, anything. Put a 1 in the chat if you know what Nord Stream 1 is. A no if you don't. So you got to go deep into this shit. You know what I'm saying? You got to go One, we got some people know what it is. We got some people know what Nord Stream. This is kind of what this whole situation is over. Nord Stream 2. I don't know what the fuck Nord Stream 1 is, but this is about Nord Stream 2. Right? It's like a movie. You got Nord Stream 1 and you got Nord Stream 2. We got a lot of people know what Nord Stream 2 is. Now here we go. Let me get to this Nord Stream 2 because this is what it's all about. The pipelines.
Including arms supplies and a possible sanction on Russian-backed natural gas pipeline Nord Stream 2, which was waived earlier this year.
This includes the Nord Stream 2 pipeline being built from Russia to Germany under the Baltic Sea.
Russia to Germany. Remember, Germany name keep on popping up. Remember, Germany, Vladimir Putin asked Russia to talk to, asked Germany to talk to Ukraine about the pipeline. Why Germany name keep on popping up? And shit. We got to do with everything. They in the United States, they in Ukraine, they in the middle of all this shit. Germany.
Which Washington fears will increase European reliance on Russian gas.
Huh? It would increase the European reliance on Russian gas. That's what this is going to do. They're going to need it. They're going to need their energy. They're going to need their gas. This is Nord Stream 2. Why would you want to give these motherfuckers more money? Why would you want to give Russia more money?
Discuss now how Nord Stream 2 is an unprecedented example, a contemporary example of bipartisan unity. Democrats and Republicans both know that Nord Stream 2 is a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea for Europe, and it's a terrible idea for the United States. Here are several examples of the bipartisan agreement we have. It's been commonplace to say that bipartisanship doesn't exist.
Mr. President, I also come to the floor today to support the sanctions on Vladimir Putin's Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Now, I urge all of my colleagues to vote in support of S-3436, the Protecting Europe's Energy Security Implementation Act. You know, last week, the president of the Ukraine and the prime minister of the Ukraine endorsed this legislation.
Huh? The president of Ukraine endorsed the legislation, right? They didn't endorse no damn North Star. That's what I'm gonna call it, North Star. They didn't agree to that, right? But how is Joe Biden fighting for a country that he agreed to have some development that they didn't agree with? Joe Biden okayed the North Star, right? Ukraine is going to hurt Ukraine country, but United States saying we're going to protect Ukraine from Russia, but you're not protecting Ukraine from Russia and the Nord Stream, the North Star. How is that even possible? You're gonna let them build a pipeline which can be hazardous and can be dangerous to the economy and to the health of Ukraine, but then you want to go over there and say we're gonna protect the borders. How is that even possible, y'all?
This has been going on for decades.
But Donald Trump didn't allow that shit, right? Because remember, when Donald Trump was in office, Donald Trump was getting more money out of NATO. He was forcing NATO to pay their fair share. Now Donald Trump is not in office, and NATO is acting a damn fool. All this shit is NATO. NATO's acting a fool since Donald Trump not in office. Donald Trump controlled NATO. Now NATO is going crazy.
Endorsed this legislation.
This has been going on for decades, and it's disproportionate and not fair to the taxpayers of the United States, and we're going to make it fair, so that'll be it.
It's not fair to the taxpayers of the United States, and I'm finna get into why it's not fair to the taxpayers of the United States. Well, I'm not going to get into it. They're going to get into it.
Nord Stream 2 has been strongly opposed by the European Union Parliament. I mean, on 2 votes of like 400 to 100, and that's just rounding That's rounding up the lower number and down the higher number.
The country disagree with Nord Stream. Ukraine disagree with Nord Stream, right? The only motherfucker that agree with Nord Stream is Germany, and not all of Germany, really one person. I'm going to get into her, Russia, and Joe Biden. The United States is bipartisan when it comes to not agreeing to the Nord Stream and helping Russia make that line and get the gas to Germany and the European nations and shit like that. The United States is opposed of it. Europe is opposed of it. Ukraine is opposed of it. The only person in opposed of it is Joe Biden, Vladimir Putin, and this other bitch.
Sent to Russia is the fact that Germany is paying Russia billions of dollars to purchase energy from Russia and through the pipeline. And I'm saying, what's that all about?
Huh? What is that all about? Why did you get energy from fucking Russia?
Spending billions of dollars to Russia, then we're supposed to defend you from Russia. So I think it's a very bad. I think the people of Germany are very unhappy about it. I have many friends from Germany.
Huh? We're spending billions of dollars to protect you, and you're buying gas and giving money to our enemies. What is all that about? Joe Biden don't speak up on that, do he? Do Joe Biden talk about why Germany is giving Russia money? Have you ever thought about that? Why is Joe Biden doing everything to get money from Russia to Russia? All this is helping Ukraine, Russia. It's not hurting Russia. It's not doing nothing to hurt Russia. Nothing.
And the people in Germany are very unhappy about it. They don't like it, but that's what they chose to do. So they're spending billions of dollars to buy Russian energy, and then we're supposed to defend them from Russia. So that doesn't work too well.
Huh? Donald Trump said it don't work too well with him, but guess who it do work too well for? Joe Biden.
The president wants the allies to pay more for defense, saying the U.S. is carrying too much of the burden.
Senator Shaheen.
Huh? Donald Trump said, look, you have to pay more of your defense. We carry too much of the burden. We've been doing this for 20 years. All this years, Donald Trump went up in there and made NATO step up their money and paying for defense. You think they're paying that money now? You think they're actually still paying the same amount of money how they been paying since Donald Trump not in office? You ain't heard nothing about NATO since Joe Biden been in office, forcing them to do shit. Donald Trump talked about their ass all the time. He didn't talk about them behind their back. He talked about them in their face.
Goes back to the summer of 2019. At a July 31st hearing, several Democrats spoke out against Nord Stream 2 and in support of the Cruz-Shaheen sanctions to stop it. Here's some of the things they said. Senator Menendez said, quote, I think the international community must stand firm against opening more doors and creating new opportunities for further Kremlin aggression in Ukraine.
And he's a Democrat.
Leading to the loss of life. The Russian Federation has repeatedly used its energy resources as a lever of power. And I believe Nord Stream 2 is no exception.
Right? Russia is using their energy as a level of power. Remember that. A level of power. Energy, Russian, gas, power.
Not only will it considerably strengthen the Kremlin's stranglehold on Europe, but it allows Moscow to further undermine Ukraine's sovereignty and stability. Senator Shaheen said, we have heard in our office directly from other countries in Eastern and Central Europe and the Baltics and many of the Nordic states, and of course, especially Ukraine, who understand that this pipeline is an effort to increase reliance on Russia among Europe.
Merkel said that Europe's...
Now this bitch, right? Her, Merkel. Germany didn't agree with it, right? Joe Biden, Merkel, Russia agree with it. Ukraine, Donald Trump, America, Europe, Democrats, everybody else don't. You don't think something was wrong with that? You don't see something wrong with that picture? What Ted Cruz just read was comments from Democrats, not Republicans. Democrats. Why is Joe Biden doing this? This was the prime minister, whoever she was, had to step down. But why is she doing this? Why is he the only person agreeing with it? With the people at the top that's supposed to be crooked and shit like that, right? What's the name? The Ukraine president, right? He said, "I'm not with it." Remember, Ukraine was supposed to be one of the most corrupt countries in the world. Ukraine said, "Look, I'm not with this pipeline." It would have been easy for Vladimir Putin to pay them off because he already tried to bribe him with the same thing he tried to bribe the other nigga with. $15 billion, and we're going to lower your gas. Give you energy breaks. And they didn't take the deal. But guess who did take the deal? Joe Biden.
Europe's biggest economy has different views on the pipeline than the United States.
Right.
Said that Europe's biggest economy...
Right?
On Russia.
They said they have different views, right? Right? Even though it's not different views, this bitch is from Germany. She said the gas line should go through the United States. Joe Biden say the same thing. I don't know how the fuck is the difference, bitch.
Among Europe.
Merkel said that Europe's biggest economy has different views on the pipeline than the United States. But she said that Berlin sees Ukraine as a transit country.
Right? Europe has a different view of the United States. Not Joe Biden, of the United States. Have a different view on the pipeline than the United States. No, they don't. They're the same damn thing. Europe don't want it, and the United States shouldn't want it. Joe Biden want it. Rewind that one more time. Europe don't.
That Europe's biggest economy has different views on the pipeline than the United States. But
the only reason why it's different pipelines, right? Because different views on it because Joe Biden is speaking for the United States. That's the only reason. He's not speaking for us. He's speaking for himself. But as a representing and president of the United States, he's talking supposedly for us. But he's not. Because Democrats, Republicans, Europeans don't agree with it. Since Joe Biden is agreeing with it, Europe think we agree with the shit too. Because of Joe Biden.
Increased reliance on Russia among Europe.
Merkel said that Europe's biggest economy has different views on the pipeline than the United States. But she said that Berlin sees Ukraine as a transit country.
Prime Minister said the following. He said, Nord Stream 2 is no less an existential threat to our security and democracy than Russian troops on our border.
Huh? This is Ukraine Prime Minister or whatever talking, right? Saying this is a threat. It's more of a threat than these 100,000 motherfuckers at the border because we not worried about that because we know what that's about. That's some NATO shit. That's some shit we ain't got nothing to do with. But this right here, this is going to threaten our well-being. That's some other shit. Remember, the Prime Minister is saying this. They're not worried about NATO. NATO, that's some personal shit. We worried about this pipeline.
The Prime Minister said the following. He said, Nord Stream 2 is no less an existential threat to our security and democracy than Russian troops on our border. He said, Senators shouldn't vote to protect Russia and Nord Stream 2. He said, this is a security matter, not only for Ukraine, but for the entire region.
Ukraine is worried about defending themselves against Russia because of not because of no damn NATO and nothing like that, because that's what they're pushing in the air. NATO, Russia is pushing like, hey, we're going to defend. We're going up in there and we want to take it back historical. We want to take it back what's ours. We got to defend ourselves and which they right. But Ukraine is saying, hey, we're not protecting ourselves from NATO. We're protecting ourselves from this pipeline. This is what we defending against. When we fighting against Russia because it's pipeline, all the other shit in the borders and us joining NATO, that's something entirely different. We want this pipeline, not up in this motherfucker. But Russia and Joe Biden say, fuck it, we do. Rewind it one more time if you think I'm playing. That's what he's saying. I got to rewind it because you might not get what he's saying, so I got to rewind it for you so you can get what I'm getting.
Senators shouldn't. Then Russian is no less an existential. Prime Minister said the following. He said Nord Stream 2 is no less an existential threat to our security and democracy than Russian troops on our border. Senators shouldn't vote to protect Russia and Nord Stream 2. He said this is a security matter, not only for Ukraine, but for the entire region. I believe the Prime Minister of Ukraine is exactly right.
That consensus is held for over 2 years, Democrats and Republicans. Even through the Biden administration's catastrophic decision to greenlight the pipeline and to give a multi-billion-dollar gift to Vladimir Putin.
And I think that we've concluded that the State Department determined that Nord Stream 2 Nord Stream 2 AG has facilitated sanctions evasion. On whose behalf?
Huh? Did you hear what he say? It evaded sanctions. On whose behalf? All this old shit, Joe Biden, I don't put the sanction on this, I'm doing sanctions, but it's evading sanctions. How is it evading sanctions?
I think that we've concluded that the State Department determined that Nord Stream 2 Nord Stream 2 AG has facilitated sanctions evasion. On whose behalf? On whose behalf? I mean, who's the winner here? Why did the president lift the sanctions? Why are we facilitating this? I mean, on whose behalf is this being done? So,
who behalf? Somebody's doing it. Who behalf is this being done? How is they invading sanctions? How are they evading them? And sanctions being lifted, how?
So it's hard for me to see much commitment when the president announces, just sort of out of the blue, the lifting of sanctions on Nord Stream 2, an authority he doesn't even have.
Huh? He doesn't even have. But he lifted it. Think about it. Joe Biden is doing illegal shit to help Russia.
Pipeline is being built by Gazprom.
An authority he doesn't even have.
Pipeline is being built by Gazprom. People that aren't familiar with that, Gazprom is the Russian state-owned natural gas company.
Huh? The Russia state-owned gas company. Joe Biden is lift the sanction on the state-owned gas company that's owned by Russian oligarchs.
Authority doesn't
Russian oligarchs.
Pipeline is being built by Gazprom. People that aren't familiar with that, Gazprom is the Russian state-owned natural gas company. Now, the pipeline would double the amount of Russian gas going to Germany via the Baltic Sea. This pipeline is an existential threat to our ally, Ukraine. It's a threat to our allies in Europe as well.
It's a threat.
This issue was central to a June 8th meeting of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee after Biden had defied U.S. law and given a multi-billion-dollar gift to Putin.
Right now, Vladimir Putin has mobilized 100,000 troops on the border of Ukraine. Now, he can afford to do this because he is flush with cash.
Huh? Vladimir Putin is now flush with cash, right? Since this pipeline shit is going on right now, Vladimir Putin is getting money. Think about this. They finna double the supply of the gas that's going from Russia to Europe. Double the supply means double the money. If he can afford 100,000 motherfucking well-equipped troops right now because of his gas and energy, think of what he can do with double that money. And guess who else giving Vladimir Putin money? You.
Rising energy prices and reduced American production mean Vladimir Putin has hit the energy economic jackpot.
Think about this, y'all. Since we're not energy independent no more, we're getting our gas and our energy from OPEC, which Joe Biden is begging to produce more oil and gas, right? Since gas and all this shit is going up, everybody's on here, your energy, your heat and all of those shit, you use gas and natural gas and all this shit to do whatever, but you are putting money in Vladimir Putin's pocket. You are personally funding Russia's so-called invasion on Ukraine. You. Think what he said, right? The high energy increases in American energy is putting more money in Vladimir Putin's pocket. Ha! Ha! Whoa! Everybody, every time you pump your motherfucking gas pump, right? Next time you go to the gas station and you pump 91 in your car, think where that 91 is coming from. It's coming and it's going in Vladimir Putin pockets. Huh? Every mile you drive, you funding, we weren't doing with Donald Trump in office, but every time you drive a fucking mile, you are funding the Russian oligarchy. You are funding the Russian military. You are funding and putting Vladimir Putin in power. This is what you're doing. We can't stop driving. We can't stop heating ourselves. We can't stop doing none of that shit. But we can stop helping Vladimir Putin by becoming energy independent. Right? But think about this. Every time we, Germany, Europe, all these motherfuckers are getting gas from Russia. Woo!
Flush with cash. Rising energy prices and reduced American production mean Vladimir Putin has hit the energy economic jackpot. The world is now more dependent on Russian oil and energy. If gas starts to flow through this pipeline, Vladimir Putin will get even richer, more powerful, and the world will become even more dependent on him.
Whoa! Did you hear that? Did you hear what he just say? If Vladimir Putin able to be able to pump all this gas and natural energy like we is, and Europe is fit to be, Vladimir Putin is going to be stronger and more powerful because he's going to be able to control energy and gas. Think about, oh my goodness, did you just hear what he said? I don't think you got the full scope of what he said. We are putting so much energy in Vladimir Putin's pocket, he can't help but get more dependent. We are dependent. Anytime Joe Biden, our president, the president of the United States, beg OPEC to pump more gas, beg OPEC to step up their production, guess what? OPEC got us by the nut, and they say no, we don't want to. OPEC got us by the nuts. Think about this. The higher the energy gonna go, the more dependent we're gonna become on Russia. And Russia gonna jack up the motherfucking price. And the United States gonna jack up the motherfucking price. And Vladimir Putin gonna get more motherfucking money. And he gonna get more motherfucking soldiers and more motherfucking weapons. OMG, how can this happen? How could you let it happen? Now we got our allies riding with Russia. Germany is riding with Russia. Giving them money and sending motherfuckers to talk to Ukraine. OMG. Vladimir Putin is playing the United States like a motherfucking fiddle.
Whoa, hang on a second.
Here's what Senator Menendez said after Biden acted. Quote,
after.
I think many of us, on a bipartisan basis, were deeply concerned about the administration's decisions to waive sanctions on Nord Stream 2 AG. I would have thought that one of the most significant ways to show strength is to ensure that the pipeline is killed. Mr. President, Senator Menendez was right.
Mr. President. Senator, and these are Democrats talking about this. This is not before, this is after. Before, remember, all the Republicans, all the Democrats had a problem with the North Star before Joe Biden got in office. And after Joe Biden got in office.
Whoa, hang on a second.
Census, even after the Biden administration formally announced that it had struck a deal surrendering entirely to Russia on the pipeline. Nonetheless, we saw the bipartisan consensus remain. On July 21st, Senator Kaine said, quote, "I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it in terms of Russian politics, and I'm not happy about it in terms of climate change."
Now, remember, Joe Biden was big on climate change. Remember all this with climate change. Russia and China and all these people going to obey the climate change and shit. Well, China is not obeying the climate change. They shit going up tremendously. Russia don't give a fuck about no climate change. They didn't go to the meeting or nothing. Ukraine don't give a Afghanistan, all them motherfuckers don't give a fuck about no climate change. Iraq and all them, right? But Joe Biden say he big on, remember, Joe Biden say he big on climate change, right? He stopped the gas lines in our country talking about it was going to kill motherfuckers. But he okayed the gas line over there in Ukraine that could probably do the same thing. See, think about it. Protect their border, but fuck ours, right? The gas over here going to kill people, but the gas over there is okay. Let them build it, right? They're going to release carbon dioxide and gas and all kind of shit, right? But let them build it, right? Joe Biden don't give a fuck, right? He say he give a fuck. Don't build ours, but build theirs. It's not going to kill the gas and the greenhouse gas. It's not going to affect us, but it's going to affect them. But it's supposed to affect the world, right? But it's not going to affect us. It's going to affect them. Think about this. He say he would all this so save the world and green shit and Green New Deal and less pollution, all this shit, but he really not.
Senator, I appreciate the concern.
I'm not recording his ass.
Looking for Congress provided to us. We've met on several occasions.
Now get his black ass up out of here. I didn't mean to record him.
The president, was he doing? I mean, European Union unilateral. They were outside of the law.
Evidence.
But the president's actions were completely unilateral. They were outside of the law. And I want to know whose behalf was he doing? I mean, European Union or multinational relationship overwhelmingly opposed the completing of Nord Stream 2. And let me tell you a couple of good reasons why it's a bad idea in the first place, Nord Stream 2. Because it has natural gas produced in Russia, moved via pipeline like Nord Stream 2, besides captivating European allies to a single source. Setting that aside for a moment.
Single source, right? Our European allies to a single source of energy, and that is Russia. Whoa. Did you hear this? Did you hear what Joe Biden is okay? A single source of energy to European, and that is Russia.
Has, through the life cycle of that gas, a 41% higher greenhouse gas emission footprint than natural gas produced in the United States and liquefied and sent to the same European allies. And that doesn't even include the methane leakage.
Huh? This is what Joe Biden okayed. This is what Joe Biden okayed. And ours is way safer. But Joe Biden okayed this shit.
So what I'm trying to wrap my mind around is, what's the good reason?
Huh? What is the good reason? You're supposed to be against this greenhouse gases and shit leaking and all this, and you're supposed to be for this better environment, but you just okay to say there's something that is going to fuck up the environment, right? Undoubtedly, you know what I'm saying? It has no other choice but the fuck up leakage and gas and all that shit passing through Ukraine. But you said you care about the Ukrainian people. Oh, we care so much about the Ukrainian people. We must protect them. They are friends. They are friends, but we're gonna let Russia build this motherfucking gas line that's gonna kill some of you motherfuckers and turn you motherfuckers into the hills have eyes. But we love you. We love you, Ukraine. If you was Ukraine, you'd be like, fuck that, Joe Biden. If you love us, why the fuck you let this nigga build a gas line in our country? What has no benefit? If you said no and you kept the sanction on, it had no benefit on anything you do in the United States or protecting Ukraine. You even would have protected us better.
Energy as a geopolitical weapon. He uses energy to coerce our allies and our partners in Europe. Stopping this pipeline should be an area of bipartisan agreement. In fact, Mr. President, it was an area of bipartisan agreement in this very body until Joe Biden became president.
Think about this. It's been bipartisan for years. For years. It's been bipartisan for years until Joe Biden became president. Right? But guess who else didn't like the North Star deal?
Many Democrats in this body voted for sanctions the first time around. Even Joe Biden opposed the pipeline before he became president.
Huh? Joe Biden opposed the pipeline until he became president. When he became president, he was for the pipeline, lifting sanctions and all kind of shit. Before he was against it, now he's for it. How was that? He changed his mind when he became president. Wow.
Congress has overwhelmingly passed several pieces of bipartisan legislation imposing sanction on this Russian pipeline. Yet the Biden administration refuses to implement these laws.
Huh? Refuse to implement them. Congress passed it, but he don't want to do it. That's the executive order that he overrode. He overrode Congress to let Russia build a pipeline. Think about this. This nigga Joe Biden is a Russian op.
Legislation imposing sanction on this Russian pipeline. Yet the Biden administration refuses to implement these laws. The Biden administration has now been actively lobbying this body and actively lobbying Congress against this bill.
Look, now Biden, look, since he became president, now the nigga lobbying against it. First he was with it, now he lobbying against it. How, Joe?
Democrats must think it would give Putin what he wants. I don't get it. They think if you give Putin what he wants, then he's going to play nice. That's not going to happen. Every American president must negotiate from a standpoint and a position of American strength. Vladimir Putin is cunning, opportunistic, and aggressive. He respects strength, not statements.
And all Joe Biden got is statements, right? Vladimir Putin even said the sanctions is not going to hurt him. How the fuck is you going to put a sanction on him and he's controlling all of Europe with his energy? Think about this. We're getting our energy from him. How you going to put a sanction on him and you getting your energy from him? You don't help the nigga with a pipeline to get double the money. To get billions and billions of dollars. But then you talking about, oh, we're going to hit him with sanctions that he ain't never seen before. On what? You just lifted the sanctions that could have hurt, that could have crippled him, and he wouldn't have been able to build up and get all of that so shit. But we giving him money, Europe giving him money. He's getting rich, and you talking about putting a sanction on him? What do Vladimir Putin give a fuck about you putting a sanction on him? And the only sanction that you could have put on him was not helping, not getting that fucking pipeline bill. But now he getting a pipeline bill, he getting double the money, and you talking about putting a sanction on him? For what? Who you gonna put? The only thing you can do is put sanctions on people that he fuck with. You can't put no sanction on Vladimir Putin or his country. They produce energy. What you gonna tell people to stop buying energy from them? They don't give a fuck how many banks you freeze or how much money you can. They can buy a bank now. Oh, this is crazy.
When he sees an opportunity, he takes it. He can smell the weakness. The pipeline will mean an enormous transfer of wealth from our allies to our enemy.
Huh? Getting rich off of our allies.
It'll make our allies weaker, and it will make Putin stronger.
For lifting
NATO was formed in 1949 to defend Europe and North America against Soviet aggression. Mr. Trump said today that Germany in particular has gotten far too close with Russia.
Huh? Why Joe Biden never spoke out on this? It's because of Germany we're in the shit we in right now. Donald Trump spoke out on it. Joe Biden didn't. Joe Biden speaking for this shit. Donald Trump spoke at this shit at a NATO face-off. He faced the nation like, hey, man, this shit is not cool. And I'm not having it. Donald Trump kept Russia, Germany, Ukraine, all the motherfuckers in check. Joe Biden can't do that. Huh? Rewind one more time.
NATO was formed in 1949 to defend Europe and North America against Soviet aggression. Mr. Trump said today that Germany in particular has gotten far too close with Russia.
Both the leaders have vowed to work together to...
Now, this is the bitch from Germany, and this is Joe Biden, right? Why is Joe Biden working with Germany, right, on a Russian pipe deal? You get up here talking about he don't like that shit, right? This is the sanction he done. How you not going to agree with something that you lifted a sanction on and argue in Congress to agree with? And this bitch right here is crooked too.
To defend against Russian aggression.
Russia.
Both the leaders.
Look, she's talking about defending and brought Joe Biden up there talking about defending against Russian aggression. But this bitch, is getting her energy and all her fucking gas and all that shit from Russia. And talking about, and look, think about this. Look, this is crazy, right? They're trying to say, Ukraine say, if this pipeline get up in here, Russia getting cut off our energy. Russia can cut off our gas and all that shit, right? And this bitch say, well, if Russia do that, we're going to put a sanction on them. Ukraine like, okay, that's the only deal you're going to give us? They say, yeah, if Russia do that, we're just going to put sanctions on them. We're going to make sure we're going to get this pipeline built in Ukraine. Ukraine, you ain't got nothing to worry about. Because Russia is going to be fair with you. And look, even though that's your worst enemy, they kill you motherfuckers in the war. I mean, and you whoop their ass and shit like that. But they're going to play by the rules. And if they don't, we're going to put a sanction on them. I know Ukraine like, bitch, what? That's after the fact. That's like every time somebody dying in the police, police die or somebody die in the street, you get one of these Democrats get up there and say, we will not tolerate this. Nigga, it already happened. We're gonna do something. This is not gonna happen in this city. It already happened. And it's gonna happen again. I mean, how many times you get up, how many times you heard a motherfucker on Chicago, a politician from the city of Chicago talking about, we can't allow this to happen. We're gonna put a stop to this. This has got to stop. We're not gonna take this. We're not going to take this. This is Joe Biden. This nigga, oh my goodness. They want Ukraine to straight take it like, Ukraine, this is what you're going to do, right? We know this your enemy, right? And we know they want to build a pipeline and they have the power to shut off your shit and kill your people with the gas and the fumes and all that other shit, right? But if they do any of that, we're going to put a sanction on them. Watch what you say.
Have vowed to work together to defend against Russian aggression and to stand up to anti-democratic actions by China.
But Germany is totally controlled by Russia.
President Trump confirmed Europe's worst pre-summit fears by using the NATO stage to criticize allies.
Right? He getting in front of them like Europe is controlled by Russia, motherfucker. Huh? How's our ally controlled by Russia? Joe Biden don't talk about that.
Blasting Germany over a natural gas pipeline deal with Russia.
Evidently meaning that she believes that natural gas should still flow through the Ukraine, even if the pipeline is completed.
She look, this bitch say, look, it should flow through the pipeline, right? She's saying, think about this, right? They getting up on here and saying both of each other don't agree, right? They saying United States don't agree with Europe in the policies, right? Now, both when they say that, Europe is thinking that United States want the pipeline built, right? And now she's getting on here talking about she don't agree with the pipeline being built, but she doesn't. But they need the pipeline to be built, you know what I'm saying, in order to keep the gas going. Now this, Now they had a one that was supposed to be built on land. Now they want this pipeline to be built offshore and in the water. They're like, hell no. Ukraine like, hell no.
Merkel also said that there are a number of instruments Europe can use, including sanctions, if Russia does not act satisfactorily regarding Ukraine.
You heard her. They're going to do sanctions if Russia do not act right. What? Bitch, now you going to do sanctions too? What you going to do? What you going to do, bitch? Say we're not going to buy no electricity? Bitch, Russia control you. Like Donald Trump say, Russia control Europe. How you going to put a sanction on this motherfucker and you're 100% energy independent on Russia? Huh? What you going to tell them? What the fuck is you going to tell Russia? We're going to put a sanction on you. Okay, motherfucker, we're going to turn off your lights. Good luck. Ask the United States to produce something, motherfucker. I don't understand. How is that even possible? How can you put a sanction on the motherfucker that you buy? Look, that's like saying you're gonna put a hit on a motherfucker that put a hit on you. Now, I'm so stupid. This shit is so stupid. I don't even know how to compare it. You gonna look. You buying some shit from a motherfucker and you gonna say, well, if you don't do what we're gonna do and you don't treat this motherfucker right over here, which we don't give our friends right from Ukraine, we're gonna put a sanction on you. You see how none of this shit makes sense? None of this shit makes it's so many fucking angles. You got a Ukraine angle, you got a Germany angle, you got a United States angle, you got a Russia angle, you got a Biden angle, you got it's so many angles.
Merkel also said that there are a number of instruments Europe can use, including sanctions, if Russia does not act satisfactorily regarding Ukraine.
Later, President Trump and German Chancellor Angela Merkel exchanged pleasantries for the cameras during a one-on-one meeting.
But Donald Trump didn't give a fuck about that. They exchanged pleasantries, but Donald Trump wasn't going for that.
Up from the 2% the U.S. has previously requested.
We're protecting everybody, and yet we're paying a lot of money to protect.
Nord Stream 2. We have talked about Russia and Ukraine. We also talked about Nord Stream 2. We have different views on what this project entails. But I want to make it very clear. Our understanding was and remains that Ukraine remains a transit country for natural gas.
A transit. She's talking for Russia. She's German, but she's talking for Russia. Ukraine should be a transit country. Well, Joe Biden said he's going to make it a transit country.
That Ukraine has a right, like any country, to territorial sovereignty. We will also act actively if Russia does not honor Ukraine's right to transit. For me, Nord Stream 2 is an additional project and not a project instead of transit of gas through Ukraine. And anything else would cause very great tensions.
But Merkel, who grew up in communist East Germany, told reporters earlier, the NATO summit is usually a chance for member nations to reaffirm their commitment to an alliance that focuses on Afghanistan, Syria, Ukraine, and other world hotspots. But President Trump appeared determined to upset that tradition, demanding NATO countries spend 4% of their gross domestic product on defense.
And you've always got to remember that with President Trump, you've got to look at business interests. And the U.S. would very much like to export more LNG, liquefied natural gas, to Europe, and it has started doing so. So this could be, something where President Trump would like to make a quid pro quo with Germany buying more LNG from the U.S. instead of from Russia.
Don't that make sense? We protecting you, but you not buying your gas from us? And help us protect you even more or help us in anything, as far as not being able to finance Russia and make Russia a world leader and a world power? Think about this. Russia is becoming a world power and a world leader because of policies Joe Biden made on the pipeline and shit like that. Europe is totally dependent on Russia. We totally dependent on Russia. Everybody is totally dependent on Russia.
We just don't know exactly what was behind these remarks today because it was a surprise.
It's very sad when Germany makes a massive oil and gas deal with Russia, where you're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to Russia.
German officials deny that the controversial Nord Stream 2 pipeline will allow Russia to exert undue influence over their country. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg tried to keep the peace.
He tried to talk to Donald Trump, right? He didn't make no sense. And Donald Trump wasn't trying to hear that shit. Remember, Donald Trump done this in front of NATO. Joe Biden kissed NATO ass. Joe Biden said, how is a country that we protecting buying natural gas and making another country that hate our guts and our worst enemy, one of our worst enemies, rich? How's that even possible? If Joe Biden was a puppet, if Donald Trump was a puppet, how's he speaking up on not making Russia rich? How's he speaking up on Germany is being controlled by, Europe is being controlled by Germany? How's he speaking up on that and he's a Russian puppet? Joe Biden ain't speaking up on that. He's helping that shit out. But look what one of the NATO members say about Donald Trump when he say, how in the fuck is we protecting y'all and y'all not spending no money with us? As a matter of fact, we finna cut some of our donations off because some of you motherfuckers finna step y'all's up.
We are stronger together than apart.
But how can you be together when a country is getting its energy from the person you want protection against or from the group that you want protection?
Because we understand.
Huh? Do that even make sense? That makes sense. Like, fuck what you talking about. The country is more better when we stay together. That's not no answer. Nigga, how is it the fact that you giving money to somebody that we protecting you against? And it's our enemies. Oh, we are stronger when we stay together. No, we're not.
Understand that when we stand together, also when dealing with Russia, we are stronger.
Donald Trump ain't trying to hear that.
We become weaker.
Donald Trump ain't trying to hear that. Right? Just understand you got all kind of angles to this Afghanistan war. You got Germany. Right? You got Russia. You got Joe Biden, you got oil companies, you got Nord Stream, you got history, you got spies, you got, it's all kind of things that we really don't know what this is about. But one thing we do know that's not about no democracy. It's not about protecting Ukrainian sovereignty and nothing like that, because we saw how we done over there in Afghanistan and protecting them over there, and we saw the end result of that. So we don't give a fuck about that. So it has to be bigger than that, right? As somebody said in this video, one of the people that was questioning the black dude say is something behind the scenes that somebody benefiting from. Why the sanctions are lifted, why these people are able to produce oil, why these influences, European nations are being influenced by Russia, because anytime you say you're not influenced by Russia and you allow Russia to tell you to go try to bribe a motherfucker or something like that, that means you're influenced by them. You're building a pipeline. Now Ukraine, you don't hear it. Now Ukraine is stuck in the middle, right? You got United States playing on one side, you got them playing on one side. Oh, United States, we want to protect Ukraine and we want to protect their borders and they better not cross the line. That would be an invasion, and we would do this and we would do that, and we'll hit you with this, we'll hit you with that, right? Lying like a motherfucker claiming they care about Ukraine. Then you got Vladimir Putin claiming about he care about Ukraine. Oh, you part of us, and you got history with us, and you know, and you need to come on back. Y'all becoming too much like them, and they really don't love you, and they will leave you, and all this other shit. Then you got Ukraine stuck in the middle, like, okay, we want to be a democracy, you know what I'm saying? But we really don't trust the United States, you know what I'm saying? We really don't want to fuck with Ukraine, but we really got more people in Ukraine. I mean, we really don't want to fuck with Russia, but we got more people that's Russian in our shit than we got people that's American, you know? So it's like they stuck between the rock and hard spot. This person want to go to war with us, and this person using us, you know what I'm saying, as a tough and talk point, you know what I'm saying, but he's not going to help us go to war. You know what I'm saying? But he want to help us in a war. But he's not going to help us out with the war. He'll send troops and this and this, and he'll do all that back talk. And at the war, no matter what happens in the war, you're going to be a winner. Because if you win, You can say, oh, so we helped that, we done that, and we helped them with all this other money and all this other shit, and you can take that. But if you lose, you're going to say, well, we tried our best to help our friends. And you can go back to that Afghanistan shit. But I didn't know that the people couldn't hold up and the people was this and the people was that. You can always go back to that. So either way, you win by just sending weapons over there. No soldiers die, but you can always use that point. Well, I wasn't going to send no more soldiers over there to die and all this sort of shit. It's always ways you can win with a tragedy or a victory. Right? A tragedy or a victory. It's real easy. Right? But it's certain angles. You don't know if Vladimir Putin could be real, but I know one thing that's true. You can't tell no country that you beefing with that you can set up missiles and a base, right? And have our enemy basically join your gang or join your hood or join your organization. Right? We got people, you know what I'm saying, that's inside of the government up in there, right? We got people that don't want to do that, that's Russian. Right? It's not about democracy. Joe Biden don't give a fuck about democracy. Russia don't give a fuck about democracy. Donald Trump, Russia knew way better than to try to invade when Donald Trump was in office. Because they knew what Donald Trump would have won. This right here is the fucking puppet. He showed you over and over again. Donald Trump put sanctions on him. Donald Trump killed 200 Russian missionaries off the bat his first year. You ought to see how Vladimir Putin talk about Donald Trump in admiration, basically. The fake news will try to twist it up, but he's admired by Donald Trump. You think he's admired by Joe Biden? He don't even respect him. Like I say, there's so many angles in this video, and there's so much more research I got to do on this video, you know what I'm saying, or on this topic to even understand what it's all about. But energy and money, and Vladimir Putin is getting rich. Think about this. His number one export, their number one source of income is energy. Right? And they're sitting on top of a potential $17 trillion of natural energy. That's way more than the economy of the United States is supposed. That's like half of what the United States owe right now in fucking debt. They have the potential of that in natural energy. Think about that. Russia has the energy potential, right, of 3, 4, 5 times the American economy. But it's only potential. Why is it potential? Because it's only potential if it gets used. And and as of right now, I don't know what kind of potential is happening, but guess what? Them motherfuckers over there getting rich. They're getting rich. 17 trillion of natural resources. Google it if you don't believe me. That's a lot of fucking money than most countries will ever see in the history of their fucking countries. You know how much money you can bribe a motherfucker with? He just bribed one motherfucker with $15 billion. You don't think Russians had to, and that nigga passed a law and bailed on him with $15 billion. That's a lot of fucking money. They're over there spending money in Russia on some corrupt shit. But if you got a potential of $17 trillion, $15 billion ain't really shit to get your policy across, to get your pipeline or your sanctions lift or whatever. Think about that. We got spies over here from China and Russia. Mexico couldn't afford none. No, but anyway, I'm about to get out of here. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's late night on some of the coasts. It's 12 o'clock on mine. I said we're going to do the show for an hour and a half. Now, I'm happy. I'll be back tomorrow or Sunday. I got some more skits I got to do. I want to thank y'all for coming. I'm going to end this show. And Russian collusion, y'all, is real. I'm out of this bitch, y'all. I'm out.